Hello, and welcome to the Table and Well podcast. I'm Tennison.
And I'm Ginelle. Thank you for joining us as we discuss topics and give practical tools that help you live, grow, and be in healthy, joy-filled relationship with God, yourself, and others.
For more information and resources, or if you're looking for coaching, connection, and community, please visit tableandwellco.com. We hope you enjoy this podcast. Well, thank you for joining us today on the Table and Well podcast. This is, I believe, episode number 10 of our continuing stories from the table. And as always, please feel free to download and subscribe to this podcast on your favorite listening platform. And if you want to watch this, wow, that was really great. And if you would like to watch this podcast, you can watch on our YouTube channel at Table and Well Co. So we are, again, in our series of stories from the table. And the last few that we've done have been really great and really good insights and conversations with people. And today will be no different. We've got a couple of friends with us via Zoom. So this is the first one we haven't done in person. So it's a little different, but here we are. We've got Steve and Lisa, and they are joining us from Reading. And if you guys would just introduce yourselves, would love to just let the people get to know you a little bit.
I'm Steve Christensen.
Who wants to go first?
My wife, Lisa Christensen. Yes, we live in Reading, Northern California. And we have been here for about 3 or 4 months in kind of a new transition phase. And we just, no.
The only thing I would add, we're somewhat recent empty nesters. We have 2 adult kids. So that's a fun adventure. They're both awesome. And both have been in education.
Mm-hmm.
Steve was in early 5th grade education.
Elementary education,
20 years. Wow. And I'm in higher education. So teachers by trade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And teachers by heart too.
Yeah,
by heart, and continual learners. That's sort of the life paradigm.
Yeah, that's so good. So it's kind of fun that you guys came to the table, because these are stories from the table, and you guys actually came all the way to our table, even though you were in Reading at the time. So let's talk a little bit about that. I don't even know that I fully remember the story of how you got here.
And it's almost been a year.
Has it?
Pretty close.
Almost, yeah.
February, it'll be a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we, in our empty nest season, we adventured for the first time into running together.
Mm-hmm.
And we started a half marathon training program that lets you, it kind of like alternates running and walking. So we could both, that way we could
couch to 5K?
No, couch to 13.1,
yeah.
Blend. So we did a Google search to find a half marathon on our anniversary, and the only one was in Greenville.
No way.
So we didn't end up going to that one because of all the lockdown stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the one when we did go, that was what we were heading to Greenville for, was to run our half marathon. It was kind of like kind of like a launch into empty nesting. Like, this is what we want it to be about.
And kind of like the next chapter, just sort of like, I think God just kind of creating a new chapter of new journees. The running together.
That was new.
That was new. Kind of new sort of focus on ministry ideas, and so we literally came to run the marathon and landed in Greenville. And
what we didn't know before that was that we thought Steve was just going to get time off to come to the marathon. And shortly before that, it was just so clear to him that God was just leading him to new and other things, what he calls his lane change. So he actually put his notice in right before we came out there. So we were in major new transition, like, okay, if you're going to put your notice in, we probably should sell the house. Where are we going? I don't know. We're going to go run, and then we're going to figure it out. And then in the midst of that, because I think we have a lot of like networks that cross of people and places. And so I had kept seeing the invitation to the table on social media. Okay. And I was like, wow, it just connected with something I had kind of been dreaming about. And so when we went out there, I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if there's a table. And there happened to be one the morning after we got there. So we're going from West Coast to East Coast time. We land, and it's like the very next morning at 10 a.m. We're like at your doorstep with orange juice and muffins.
And we were like literally like in the rental car with the directions on. And I'm like, so now what is this again? We're just gonna like we're showing up at their house and doing what?
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, wait, we've got juice and muffins, and we're going to somebody's house and turn.
Do you even know these people?
Yeah.
I love that.
And it's like 6 a.m. in your body.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh,
after arriving at midnight the night before.
Well, at least you got sleep a little bit. At least the body lets you sleep a little bit. Yeah.
It's good. I love it. So how was the table for you? You guys came in completely blind, complete strangers. We didn't know each other at all.
No.
What was that experience like?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, literally, it's like kind of like, I think, walking in your door that day, and it was like transformational from there. But literally walking into your door, meeting you guys, meeting the other participants, it was just a warmth of community, authenticity, just a shared connectedness, I think, right off the bat with people. And and then also people were like, you're from where? And you're what? But it was just, even though there was that kind of interaction, there was a great, again, like I said, connectedness, just like people were just like, so glad that you're here, and can't wait to sit down at the table and just hear more of your story. And it was great.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I think for me, I had been listening to the podcast. So I felt, how you have that experience where you hear someone's podcast or their presentations. You feel like I felt like I knew you guys, but you didn't know me. And we had kind of this crazy story, like whirlwind blowing in, but it was pretty cool to sit down and get to know the people, not just you guys, but everybody else around the table.
Yeah.
And I guess if I could summarize, sorry, pull out all the details, but the summary is really, as I sat down at the table, I saw a picture of something I had kind of been dreaming about, of what community could be and could look like. And that in lots of other social situations, it probably would matter how long you'd known people and whether you had connected with them before in terms of how comfortable you felt. But with at that table, you kind of sat down and felt welcomed and at ease right away. And that's a unique thing to be able to create. Like there's definitely a gravity of this is something different.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'm excited for you guys I know you talked about coming back in a few months. I'm excited for you to come back to the table and see how it's maybe evolved a little bit from what it was when you guys were here. And
how you guys have evolved a bit since you were here.
Yeah. And that was actually my question for you guys, was like, so you had this experience at the table and we've stayed connected since then. And I'm just really wondering if maybe you could even share, like, what did that do for you in that, like, coming to the table? Lisa, you said that it was something that you kind of had a vision of, like, well, this is what it could be. So for the last, I guess, 10 months or so, like, how has...
Yeah, and Steve, you alluded that it's been a transition. It was kind of like a launching transition point. Yeah.
So how has, from that moment coming to the table, seeing that this is what community could be, this is how it could be, and to today, what has happened? Like, what's kind of been this overarching story of looking for community and inviting people to tables and things like that for you? What does that look like? How is that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, literally, I think we walked out of your door, got in the car, and we drove away, and we were like, what just happened? Like, we were just like, that is what it should be like. That's what connection and community and engagement and yeah, connectedness should be like. So we got home and well, actually, we had some time there in Greenville with some friends that we know from the East Coast, and it was interesting because in that visiting time with them, we started to integrate some of the. We're like, well, let's ask some deep questions and let's
awesome.
let's start with gratitudes and yeah, and then I think we got home and we just started to reflect on how to engage at that level, and then and again, then Tennison, I did another community 101, I think, with you.
Yep.
And then from there, it was just like, oh my gosh, the rhythms and joy, and it was like I was telling all these people about joy. Like it's not just you're happy; it's like the fact that you want to be connected with somebody and you're standing with them and holding place with them, no matter where they're at, and that's good. That's rich. And the gratitudes, we would sometimes have some conversations with our kids or something, and we would just be like, okay, thank you for calling us, and what are you thankful for right now, and and it's just been, again, it's been a paradigm shift to realize, like, hey, we want to impart this good news, this richness to other people, and engaging in that way is a way to sort of foster those relationships, foster that in other people. And then it's just, been, I would just say it's just the blessing of God is that, little pockets of individuals, like there's a men's group here that I'm a part of. And after the meeting one time, the guy asked me about, like, he's like, so what is this that you're doing about curious questions? And I was like, well, let me tell you, have you heard about Table and Well? And so, yeah, it's.
Yeah, I think we pretty much tell everybody we talk about it.
Yeah,
it's transformative stuff.
Yeah,
it is.
It is.
Yeah,
yeah.
It is.
I mean, we caught the same bug when we learned about this stuff, and that's why Table and Well exists, because we're like, more people need this in their lives. It has transformed who we are, and gosh, if more people could catch this, we could begin that journey toward what we do all dream of, Lisa. That deep desire in our heart to live a life connected to other people, and even to ourselves, to live life not disconnected from us. Disconnected from our spouses and all of that.
I think that was one of the things that was so surprising to me is, if you'd asked me before I encountered Table and Well, like, are you a relational person? Are you I would have said, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of great deep friendships and long time friendships and good relationships with family. But oh my gosh, it's almost like going from black and white to high def in terms of connection and community and relationship. And like, we've heard those, you hear those words thrown around all the time, like, oh yeah. But, and I think that's why it's, I think that's what impacted me so greatly, is that I think it's so much a part of God's heart for us in connecting. And it's what a lot of the communities and people around us are constantly trying to do. But it's like the secret sauce of the how to create that connection. And just to understand the brain science behind how that relational connection actually is what creates joy and satisfaction. Like, it's honestly, like, so I'm kind of come from tech, and so I just think of it as like totally rewritten my relational operating system. So instead of thinking connection, I don't know, just to I don't know how to describe it.
Well, it's like going from I probably won't get the verbiage right, but like what comes to mind is a 52-bit operating system, like the pixelization of the old days, where it's like you can create characters, but they're basically little squares, and so they can only do so much. And it's gaining those skills and brain skills to be able to have all this beautiful CG in our relationship. CG is fake, but like in real life, be able to experience it, like you were saying, high def, where we don't have this pixelization in our relationships anymore of like just two blocks kind of like sitting next to each other, but we have this beautiful integration through the skills of like, no, I really did share my life with you and you really received that. Like there was an exchange that happened there. We didn't just happen to like bump into each other and like then bump back.
Yeah. Or even another thought would be going from connection being more of a transactional thing to a connection becoming more of a deep relational thing, where there's more meaning behind it. Where in the past, like I've told the story where I would just go and connect with people after church and just kind of, hi, how are you? Do the thing. Very just rote, do the thing. But then after learning some of these skills, it became more of a, how can I actually have a relational connection with you as opposed to just doing the thing or having a transactional relationship with you in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the other thing too is that once you experience that, you long for it. You know, that's why
it rewards you for all the other formats.
and then you seek to encounter that with other people. Like I had a family engagement, and for several hours, I just was noticing all the conversation was just this, like you were saying, just this, mundane, stuff. And then we sat down to dinner, and after dinner, I'm like, okay, I'm going to pull out the skills. And so I did two little activities, and it was interesting to watch my family kind of like, they really had to work at like, what are we doing here? And, and I was explaining, I'm like, this is a way, like we made a point to authentically talk about being here together. Let's be authentic, and just even with engaging or facilitating a gratitude, it was really interesting to just watch that. It was really like they had to, it took like 3 rounds of rhythms to get them there, but when we got there, there was deep, again, this richness that came out. And
well, I think that was our experience too when we first got introduced to it. We're like, okay, wait, what are you doing here? We just so
I
think when it's new, it does kind of hit you like that, because it is operating differently. And I think what you walk away with is those relationships in your life where you've worked on deep connection for a long time. You get to a point where you feel seen, known, and heard, and like you can truly be yourself. Like you could think of that maybe small handful of people that really know, like they know all the layers of Lisa. And to be able to sit down at a table with what were strangers and to walk away with the same kind of sense of deep connection after just, one encounter. Or for us, we've been longer time members of what I would consider like the virtual table over Zoom. And, as instructors, having been on Zoom for so much time during the lockdown, we kind of got to, you think of Zoom, you're like, no, but it totally changed that to be part of the collabs or the community labs, practicing these skills. And I think that's, the table got us hooked. The online table equipped us, helped kind of change those neural pathways. As I was describing it to Steve, it was like you step out into community opportunities, and whether it's work or the church or other social environments, and you're just kind of used to, or like family, you're used to kind of how we operate and communicate. And working, like being at that online table, helped to change those operating systems or those neural pathways, so that when we step out into those other areas, we take that with us and can create that in other places as well. And kind of broke down that misperception. A lot of misperceptions broken down. Like that it takes that long in a relationship to create that connection. I think a key aspect of the table was providing an understanding of how to create an environment where people felt safe and honored and welcome to be their true authentic selves.
Yeah.
And to be able to understand how to take that elsewhere. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. To create a space or an opportunity where people feel engaged and attached, but then you also in asking, authentic questions, give them opportunities to to tell more of their story, and to open up about themselves is I think really great.
Yeah. There just aren't a lot of spaces in life where people are genuinely present. And the table is set up in such a way where it's almost this agreement when you pull up the chair, like, I'm going to be present for you. And I'm actually going to be present for myself. And it is such a learned skill, but once you experience it, it's like, oh, I don't know exactly how or why that happened, but I want some more of that, because that was pretty awesome. That was more real than I felt real in a long time. Both even in acknowledging my own story and acknowledging the story of humanity around me. That's just so powerful.
You've been listening to the Table and Well podcast. New episodes stream every Tuesday. To begin your journey to relational health, go to tableandwellco.com/community101. Again, that's tableandwellco.com/community101.